Over the 3 years I was married to Shen Shengwen, he took care of every single aspect of my life, from head to toe, inside and out. I used to think this was a sign of his love for me, until my older sister divorced and returned to China. Staring at myself in the mirror, I finally realized I was nothing more than a substitute. Holding the medical examination report, I decided to spend my final days living like a thorn, to prick Shen Shengwen's heart and make him regret it for the rest of his life. After 3 years of marriage, I still hadn't gotten pregnant, and I was really anxious. Never did I expect that a physical examination would reveal I had uterine cancer. Stage 2. When I was diagnosed, a colleague from the hospital comforted me. "Don't worry too much. Dr. Shen is an expert in this field. He'll have a way." Should I call Dr. Shen over and tell him about the situation? Ask Shen Shengwen to come over? He can't even take care of himself. He rushed out just now. No idea what for. I picked up the report and shook my head, saying to my colleague, "Can you help me close my file first? I want to go home and tell him myself." Picking up my phone, I suddenly thought of my parents, who had gone abroad with my sister 3 years ago. Even though I had grown up with them, they had always been cold towards me. In the face of illness, I inexplicably still wanted to hear their voices. But when I unlocked my phone, I saw the Moments page I hadn't exited yet. My sister's post was a photo of her being intimate with Shen Shengwen, with the caption, "Back home today." My heart skipped a beat. My sister is back home today? My brother-in-law went to pick her up, but I, her own younger sister, had no idea. My mind was in a mess. I hurried to call Shen Shengwen, but he hung up. When I called again, his phone was switched off. I was a little stunned and left the hospital in a daze, leaving work early. Hadn't Shen Shengwen only met my sister once? Why would he skip work to pick her up from the airport? I held the report, sitting for hours, not getting a single call from Shen Shengwen or my sister. I obsessively scrolled through Shen Shengwen's and my sister's Moments. I found that my sister's Moments, which used to be a blank line, were now fully visible. Looking at the familiar clothes, the same makeup style, I rushed to the toilet and looked at myself in the mirror. I grabbed the skincare products on the sink and smashed them at the mirror. It turned out that Shen Shengwen's thoughtfulness over the past 3 years, taking care of every little thing for me personally, was for no other reason than to make me look like my sister, so that he could look at me and think of her. The happy marriage I had wished for had turned out to be a relationship where I was a substitute lover, and the person I was substituting for was none other than my own older sister. The one I had to give into in everything since we were little. I hated it. "Why haven't you slept yet?" When Shen Shengwen opened the door, I saw the smile on his lips, a comfortable and happy look I had never seen before. It was the first time in 3 years of marriage that I had seen such a bright smile on his face. And it wasn't for me. This smile was for my own older sister. "I was waiting for you." I walked up to him holding the report. I was still young. I didn't want to die. My husband was an expert in cancer, and I pinned all my hopes on him. Uterine cancer, stage 2. As a nurse, I knew very well that if we delayed any longer, the best treatment would be to remove my uterus, which would mean I might never be able to have children for the rest of my life. When Shen Shengwen came over and handed me his coat out of habit, I saw a lipstick stain on his suit jacket. "I told you to eat first. I've had a bit to drink. I'll go to the bathroom first." Shen Shengwen reached out and hugged me, then turned and walked towards the bathroom. The hospital report in my hand was knocked to the floor. Shen Shengwen didn't even look back. Just like me, standing in place, forced to imitate all of my sister's habits, waiting for him to look back at me. I went back and lay on the bed. When he came out after washing up, he hugged me. "What did you want to say just now?" Shen Shengwen asked in my ear, his low tone still cold and indifferent, like a proud genius who was always above everyone else, noble and arrogant. I opened my mouth. "Has my sister come back?" Shen Shengwen's hand froze, and he let go of me. The warm support on my back disappeared in an instant. "Zhao Qiao, I don't want you to ask about this again. Can we just leave it as it is?" "Leave it as it is? What does that mean? A 3-person relationship?" I pressed down on my aching abdomen and realized that all my previous prayers had been wrong. His straightforwardness hurt more than his silence. He took my love for granted, as something that required no return. So now, I was like a doll in Shen Shengwen's eyes, obedient to be arranged and manipulated. After all, only a doll would not resist at all. "Go to sleep," I said lightly, and clearly heard Shen Shengwen let out a breath behind me. When I woke up in the morning, I didn't prepare his clothes or make breakfast for him as I usually did, nor did I put on makeup and perfume as I had for the past 3 years. I put on the jeans and shirt from the innermost part of the wardrobe and went to the second affiliated hospital in another district for a full examination. "Madam, didn't you bring a family member with you?" the doctor asked, looking at me. I shook my head. "It's okay. I know I have cancer. Just tell me the situation directly." The doctor was very reluctant, but finally said at my insistence, "The problem now is that it is not just a cancer. You're also pregnant. I've just looked at the location of the lesion. It's not good. If we do surgery now for treatment, you might not be able to have children again in the future." When I walked out of the hospital holding the diagnosis, my legs were weak. I couldn't believe that the child I had prayed for 3 years had come at this time. Stroking my stomach, my mind was in chaos. After a long time, I picked up the phone and made a call. When my mother answered, my heart skipped a beat. "Mom, what's the matter?" Her cold attitude was the same as always. Back then, my mother thought I got along better with my grandma and didn't cling to her. And I wasn't as clever and quick-witted as my sister, who had been a dance prodigy since she was little. She had resolutely left me in the countryside and taken my sister to the city center to learn dancing. When I was in high school and university, my parents asked me to live on campus. After graduating from university, I hardly went home except for the spring festival. I couldn't stand that cold and indifferent feeling. Everything at home was arranged according to my sister's preferences. We had to go to bed at 9 o'clock, and we weren't allowed to talk during meals. My mother wouldn't scold me. She would just look at me with cold, condemning eyes until I apologized on my own initiative. "Mom, if I do something now that will ruin my life by mistake, what should I do?" My mother said lightly on the other end, "Did you make a mistake? You're an adult. Adults should be responsible for their own decisions." From the other end of the phone, I suddenly heard my father's voice. "Who is it?" My mother. "No one. Just go on watching TV." "All right. If there's nothing else, I'll hang up." Listening to the busy tone, a cold chill wrapped around my whole body. In this winter, the only warmth I could feel was the warmth coming from my lower abdomen. I laughed, my eyes red. "Baby, I won't abandon you. You're the last family member in this world that can make me feel warm." I had lived in a cold family since I was little, and I longed for warmth. So when Shen Shengwen said he would give me a home, I married him without hesitation. When I went back to work at the hospital and pushed open the door of Shen Shengwen's office, I unexpectedly saw Shen Shengwen holding my sister's hand. Her beautiful face was a little pale, but her makeup was very delicate. She saw me and smiled. "Xiao Qiao, you're here." But I just stared tightly at the two of them snuggling together, not saying a word. Only then did Shen Shengwen awkwardly let go of my sister. "Your sister was feeling a little unwell just now. I was just taking care of her. Don't overthink it." That's what he said. Heh, my stomach ached, and I heard the sound of footsteps outside. I let out a soft hum, not wanting to become the subject of other people's gossip. My sister Zhu Wan was beautiful and very gentle, but only I knew that she was very jealous. Whenever I was at home, she would ask my mother to only cook green vegetables and tofu because she wanted to lose weight. She would also ask my mother to go shopping with her to buy dance shoes and leave me to go to school registration alone. "Xiao Qiao, you haven't changed at all these years." "Wait, no." My sister walked up to me, smiled and took my arm. "You've become beautiful." My beauty was all what Shen Shengwen had transformed me into according to his preferences. This sentence was like a knife, stabbing my heart. I stepped back subconsciously, and as a result, my sister was pulled by my movement and fell directly to the ground. "Zhu Wan." My movement to reach out and help her was pushed away by Shen Shengwen directly. Watching him nervously protect my sister, I suddenly felt a pain in my stomach. I couldn't stand to see Shen Shengwen like this, and I didn't want to look anymore. I turned and ran to the toilet and found that I was bleeding. I didn't think twice, picked up my phone and called Shen Shengwen, clutching my stomach and trembling. "When my stomach hurts. It's okay. You go take care of Xiao Qiao." I heard my sister say that on the other end, and suddenly felt extremely ridiculous. Did my husband taking care of me now depend on her permission? I put on my clothes and called my best friend. In less than 10 minutes, my best friend was waiting for me at the hospital gate. After listening to what had happened to me recently, my friend Zhang Chaoqiao was furious. "No, Zhao Qiao, you can't have this baby now. You know Shen Shengwen doesn't have his heart on you anymore. Why are you still having his baby? Isn't your life important?" "But Chaoqiao, this baby might be the only person in the world who loves me. And the doctor said that the surgery for my condition is very risky, and the chance of a successful cure is very low. Even if I give up the baby, I might not live. I stroked my stomach, lowering my head, holding back the sad tears. I love you. Xiao Qiu hugged me directly and cried, Zhu Qiao, I'm begging you, don't do this, okay? Have an abortion, and get conservative treatment. There are plenty of men. If this one doesn't work, we'll find another. I want to be your oldest friend. I don't want anything to happen to you. Just do it for our promise to go clubbing when we're 30 years old. Looking at my sallow face and dark lips in the rearview mirror, I nodded tremblingly. Yeah. Why should I risk my life just to get back at him? Xiao Qiu immediately checked and took me to the second affiliated hospital to find the best gynecologist. After hearing about my situation, the doctor gave the same conclusion as before, saying it was very dangerous and they needed to discuss it. I handed the medical records to the doctor and waited outside with Xiao Qiu. Xiao Qiu kept holding my hand, trembling even more than I was. I teased her. Are you so scared that I'll leave? Don't worry. Didn't you say you like the fried tofu I make the most? I'll live until you're old and have no teeth, and still make fried tofu for you. Zhao Qiao. I turned my head and saw my sister standing there. Why was she here? Did Shen Shengwen ask her to come? Shen Shengwen left his phone with me. I heard his friend, a doctor, call him, so I knew you were in this hospital. My sister's eyes wandered over me, her voice still gentle. What's wrong with you? Should I ask Shen Shengwen to come over? Stop pretending to be a saint. If you really wanted Shen Shengwen to come, you would have given him the phone. What are you pretending to be innocent for here? Xiao Qiu wanted to rush up and hit her, but I held her back. Unfortunately, I underestimated my strength. Xiao Qiu was a boxing athlete. She pushed me down directly, rushed up and slapped Zhu Wan twice, pointing at Zhu Wan's nose and scolding. If you really cared about Xiao Qiao, would you have let our parents go watch a show with you during the New Year? Leaving Xiao Qiao alone at home for the New Year. That time I took Xiao Qiao to the emergency room. She had appendicitis, and you were also in the hospital. But you were taking care of your classmate, and you didn't even look at Zhao Qiao. I'm the one who has celebrated Zhao Qiao's birthday every year. Has anyone in your family ever called her or sent her a text message? Do you know that when she had a high fever, she was calling all of you, but she found out about you going abroad from your classmate? Zhu Wan, it's your business if you like to pretend to be a saint. But you went after your own brother-in-law. Do you have any shame? Watching Xiao Qiu scold and cry for me, my heart was calm, because I clearly saw that there wasn't much guilt on Zhu Wan's face. Since we were little, Zhu Wan would pretend to like me in front of others, and mock me behind their backs. As my older sister, she once told me to my face that she hated me. She didn't want our parents to have a second child, but they still had me. Later, Zhu Wan was happy, because I was also a girl. Otherwise, she wouldn't have enjoyed our parents' wholehearted love. She only had indifference and hatred towards me. I went up and hugged Xiao Qiu, who was angry and sad for me, and whispered, "Let's go." After I left with Xiao Qiu, my phone was blown up. There were calls from colleagues, and also from Shen Shengwen. I hung up the phone and switched it off, froze for a second, then laughed. "You fool. What are you laughing at?" Xiao Qiu asked, blowing her nose. I just found out for the first time that when Shen Shengwen gets annoyed by my calls and switches off his phone, it's really a good idea. Before, when Shen Shengwen did this to me, I would think he must be very busy outside. That's why he switched off his phone. When I got home, no matter what explanation he gave me, I would accept it. Now that I was the one switching off the phone, I finally understood. Switching off the phone means you have nothing to say to that person. Even saying one more word feels like a waste of time. You fool, fool, fool. I shouldn't have let you get married in the first place. It's all my mom's fault. She had to lend the old house to relatives. That's why you were tricked by Shen Shengwen. Xiao Qiu cried even louder. We had only been dating for 3 months. When Shen Shengwen found out I was moving, he suddenly proposed to me. There was no ring, no flowers, but it comforted the sense of loss I felt from being forced to move. After all, my parents had directly sold the family house, transferred 10,000 yuan to me, and told me to rent a place. Shen Shengwen's proposal made me feel that I could have a home that wouldn't be sold again. I shook my head, my tone firm. Actually, I just wanted a home so badly. Now that I think about it, I loved Shen Shengwen so much that I lost myself. I thought that if I pleased him, I could have a home with him forever. But now, apart from the baby in my stomach, Everything Shen Shengwen gave me was just traces of Zuwan, and traces will always disappear. I also decided to take this baby and disappear from Shen Shengwen's world. When I asked Chaokio to go back with me to get my things, I told her to bring my bank card, ID documents, and all my old clean jeans and shirts. I didn't take a single thing that Shen Shengwen had bought for me. For the divorce, I directly contacted an old classmate who was a lawyer and asked her to send the divorce agreement to Shen Shengwen for me. I asked Chaokio to help me find a real estate agent and quickly settled on a monthly rented house. I switched my phone back on 3 days later. As soon as I turned it on, I saw the messages Shen Shengwen had sent me. 1. Where are you? 2. I know about your situation. Come back. 3. You can't keep the baby. The best thing for you now is to have an abortion and curettage, and find the lesion for treatment properly. He was a doctor, and I was a nurse. We as a couple knew the general process very well. If I kept going like this, I would probably die before the baby was born. But anyway, I was going to die. With advanced stage cancer and pregnancy, even if I had the baby aborted, I wouldn't live long. Since that was the case, I would rather keep the only chance I had to be a mother. Not for anyone else, just because I wanted to do my best to be a mother. I also found a good living environment for the baby. Chaokio's situation was special. She was diagnosed with uterine abnormalities when she was little, and she had already decided not to marry or have children. So Chaokio and I agreed that after I gave birth to the baby, we would raise it together. When I couldn't live anymore, Chaokio would take the baby to another city and start a new life. Chaokio loved children, and she loved me. Even if I couldn't live, Chaokio would take my share and accompany the baby to grow up. I kept scrolling through Shen Shengwen's messages until I saw the latest one. Zukiao, your sister jumped off a building. It had been an afternoon since I got this message. I checked the news and didn't see any local news reports about a woman jumping off a building and dying. Just then, Shen Shengwen called me, and I answered. Zhao Qiao, where are you? Did you receive the divorce agreement? I asked. There was a long silence on the other end of the phone. Then Shen Shengwen spoke in a hoarse voice. I'm sorry. I didn't know you were sick. My illness has nothing to do with our divorce. We're getting divorced because our relationship has broken down. Until now, I no longer expected to find love from Shen Shengwen. Who would really fall in love with a toy? Even if this toy had been hardworking and uncomplaining for 3 years, a toy was still a toy. Divorce was the most decent decision I could make now. If I kept pestering and arguing, it would only affect my physical and mental health. Let's put our matters aside for now. Come back first, okay? Your sister jumped off a building. Aren't you worried? That day, Chaokio beat your sister so badly at the second affiliated hospital, and the incident was recorded and posted online. Your sister was already in a bad mood. After she found out you were sick, she felt very guilty. That's why she jumped off the building. Chaokio, come back. Let me take good care of you. I won't let anything happen to you again. There was guilt and self-blame in Shen Shengwen's tone, but I laughed. Shen Shengwen, do you know what you just said? There was silence on the other end. Obviously, he was stunned by my question. I was browsing baby products on the computer while explaining to Shen Shengwen, you think our matters can be put aside? Then you said Zhu Wan's situation was very bad, and only then did you say you wanted to take care of me. Actually, your worry is only because Zhu Wan jumped off a building, and you're afraid something will happen to her, right? She must have told you that she wanted me to come back, right? You two want me to come back, so that you two can have a clear conscience and not be judged by others. Shen Shengwen, if you really wanted to find me, couldn't you? Without the filter of love, I found Shen Shengwen's hypocritical concern absurd. If I was so kind that I would go back and let Shen Shengwen take care of me just to ease their guilty consciences, even the Leshan giant Buddha would give me its place. I was a fool in love, but I didn't want to be a saint. I hung up the phone, but the next day, Chaokio's parents called me, saying Chaokio had been arrested. I must have owed Zhu Wan in my previous life to be controlled by her for my whole life. When I went to the hospital to find Zhu Wan, the person who called the police, Zhu Wan cried and said that she just wanted to find me, wanted her younger sister to come and see her. That's why she called the police to arrest Chaokio. Zhu Wan insisted on apologizing to me in the open ward, crying, let her go first. I looked at Zhu Wan's performance with a numb face. Zhu Wan was also straightforward, and immediately called her friend to withdraw the case and the charges. Shen Shengwen was beside her, looking at me with a worried face. There were quite a few of my colleagues gathered outside the ward. and I suddenly understood why Zhuan had done this. Shen Shengwen had been the subject of a lot of gossip in the hospital. If Zhuan could help him resolve this gossip, Shen Shengwen would think even more highly of Zhuan for being so decent. I am divorcing Shen Shengwen just because I found out we are not suitable for each other. When I said this, I saw a triumphant smile flash in Zhuan's eyes. But I don't like it when you, my sister, send my friend to the police station to force me to show up. Can you stop interfering in our marital matters? Even if it's well-intentioned, I really don't appreciate it. Zhuan couldn't smile anymore, but Shen Shengwen came over and hugged me directly. Wife, I was wrong. This was the first time I heard him call me wife. Looking at the red bloodshot in his eyes, my heart was full of sneers. I didn't move, and saw the unwillingness in Zhuan's eyes. She was jealous that Shen Shengwen was hugging me, his legal wife. I was silent. Wasn't it just waiting for the 2-month divorce cooling-off period? I could wait. I went back to the office with Shen Shengwen and told him that if he signed the divorce agreement first and didn't force me to have an abortion, I would go back with him. Shen Shengwen tried to persuade me several times, but I just treated him indifferently without saying a word. In the end, he had no choice but to nod in agreement. Shen Shengwen and I went home, but we slept in separate rooms. I no longer cooked or ironed clothes for him. But Shen Shengwen, as if he had lost his mind, started to be very thoughtful towards me, doing everything himself. One day, Shen Shengwen cooked beef brisket with potatoes, called me down to eat, and put some in my bowl. You used to make this often. Try it and see if I made it well. The beef brisket in the bowl shone with the sheen of curry. It didn't look like something a first-time cook could make. I'm allergic to beef. I ate the stir-fried green vegetables, saying lightly. Shen Shengwen was stunned. I continued eating. Zhuan likes beef. Since we got married, you said you only ate beef, so I made it. But Shen Shengwen had never noticed that I never ate a single bite of beef. I'll make you something else. Watching him stand up flustered and go to the kitchen, I put down my chopsticks and shook my head. No need. My stomach hurts, I can't eat. Shen Shengwen stopped at the kitchen door, his head drooping. For the first time, he had no pride in front of me. He looked dejected, like a big dog. I went back to my room, and in the middle of the night, my lower abdomen started to hurt. I found I had a small amount of bleeding and frequent urination. Shen Shengwen heard the noise, rushed in, and asked me about my condition nervously. At first, I would resist, but later I really couldn't hold on anymore. And the baby in my stomach was his, so why should I let him off easy? So I started to order him around. In just half a month, I lost 12 jin. Shen Shengwen lost 8 jin. When his parents found out about my situation, they started calling Shen Shengwen frequently, telling him to divorce me. I ate tastelessly and heard my mother-in-law shouting excitedly on the other end of the phone. She'll drag you down. She refuses to have an abortion and get conservative treatment, and then both she and the baby will probably die. Do you want to get into trouble with her? Have you thought about us old folks? Shen Shengwen looked in my direction, his tone light. I'll handle my own matters. He walked back. Touch my bowl. Let me get you another bowl of porridge. This one's cold. I couldn't eat. But looking at my already protruding abdomen, I forced myself to eat a small half bowl. But less than half an hour later, I ran to the toilet and threw up until I was weak. Watching the cleanliness-obsessed Shen Shengwen clean the toilet for me, I drank some water and said, "Thank you." Shen Shengwen's back stiffened, and he turned to look at me with obscure and dim eyes. "Zhao Qiao, we're husband and wife. No need to be so polite. But we're getting divorced. There's still 1 month left." I stroked my stomach and looked at him. The veins on Shen Shengwen's forehead were throbbing. I turned and went upstairs. I clearly saw the regret and self-blame on his face now. Looking at my stomach, he started to be afraid. He hoped to use the baby to soften me, but he was also afraid that if I kept the baby, I would really die. Shen Shengwen, the proud genius, also started to be afraid of hurting me, the substitute. I started taking anti-cancer drugs that wouldn't affect the baby in my stomach. My colleagues at the hospital all cared about me. The female colleagues even told me that since Shen Shengwen persuaded me to go home, he had found a caregiver for Zhuan. He hadn't gone to see Zhuan except when passing by during ward rounds. The head nurse shook her head and told me that other doctors in the hospital had started pursuing Zhuan. I smiled. Zhuan had always been like this since she was little. There were many people who loved her. When Shen Shengwen came to pick me up, the others were teasing. He used to always have a straight face and wouldn't joke with the female nurses. But recently, He would smile and thank the colleagues for taking care of me. He had learned to buy milk tea for the colleagues who got along well with me. The old director looked at me, who was skin and bones, and patted Shen Shengwen on the shoulder. Take good care of Zhao Qiao. If you don't know something, call me. Hearing this, I smiled and asked, is my condition getting worse? The old director shook his head and denied it. I looked at Shen Shengwen and asked politely, can you show me my medical records and examination reports? I want to know my situation. Before, Shen Shengwen always liked to say no. It's not appropriate. It's not good. But now, as long as I stared at him for a while, he would always do what I said in silence. I thought, maybe this was the privilege of a dying person. I saw the examination data, and it was not ideal. My uterus was originally thin, which was why I hadn't gotten pregnant for so many years. Now the baby had increased my burden, and the lesion was at risk of infection. Shen Shengwen insisted on holding my hand to get in the car. We sat in the car. He sat there for half an hour, and didn't drive out of the parking lot. When he turned his head to call me, I saw his eyes were red. Zhao Qiao, I really know I was wrong. Please, give me a chance. Let's have the baby aborted and do the surgery, okay? I shook my head calmly, holding my stomach. Shengwen, whether I have this baby or not, I'm going to die. I'd rather let him live. Shen Shengwen lay on the steering wheel and didn't move. That day, until I saw the sunset filling the sky with rays of light, Shen Shengwen drove me home. The head nurse called me, saying my parents had come to see Zuwan and they had an argument. I was near the hospital at that time. I didn't plan to go and watch the commotion, but I had a little bleeding again last night. Shen Shengwen insisted on sleeping on the floor with a quilt, watching over me. We had agreed that he would help me do another checkup in the afternoon. When I arrived at the hospital, I thought Zhu Wan must have already coaxed our parents. After all, Zhu Wan was so eloquent, and she had such a good relationship with our parents. Even if they argued, it would definitely end with a happy reunion. But I didn't expect that they were still arguing. When the head nurse and I walked past Zhu Wan's ward, I heard my mother's angry roar from inside. You're divorced, so how can we stay abroad? You never thought about me and your dad at all. Back then, we worked so hard to bring you out of the countryside. Is this how you repay us? We might as well have brought Zhu Qiao back then. At least she wouldn't have ended up divorced like you. I saw the awkward look on the head nurse's face and shrugged indifferently. It's okay. This should be the first time I've been praised by my parents, even though I was still getting divorced. Zuwan was also emotional and break down. You don't care about me at all. All you want is for me to get awards and bonuses. I was beaten until I had a miscarriage. If I hadn't run back to China, Oscar would have killed me. I vaguely remembered that when I first saw Zuwan, although she looked smug, there did seem to be bruises on her wrists. So, her marriage abroad wasn't happy? I'm not going back. I must divorce him. I want to start over in China. Before Zuwan could finish speaking, I heard the sound of a slap. My father shouted at Zuwan, you promised us that you would let us go abroad for our old age. Is this how you repay your parents? Don't forget, we gave you all the money from selling the house. So what? You volunteered to invest in Oscar. If you want to stay abroad and enjoy the life, you figure it out yourself. Do you really love me as a daughter? No, you don't at all. Just because I'm not a son, when I broke my bone as a child, you wouldn't even take me to see a doctor. You only started being nice to me later because my grades made you look good. If I hadn't worked so hard, I would have been like Zhu Qiao, that idiot, left in the countryside by you as a burden, to fend for herself. I told you Zhu Qiao had cancer, but did any of you call her? You're the most selfish parents in the world. You don't deserve to be parents. I hate you. I won't live under your control anymore. And I'm never going back. When Zhu Wan rushed out of the room, I saw 3 stunned faces. Zhu Wan was embarrassed. This was the first time she had been so embarrassed in front of me. And my parents looked awkward, standing in the ward and looking at me. The moment my mother saw me, she quickly looked away. My father looked at me. His lips moved, but I didn't hear the sound. But I guessed he must have called me Zhu Qiao, a more unfamiliar address than that of a colleague. Let's go. The head nurse pulled my hand to take me away, saying indignantly, don't be sad. Some people are just not meant to be good parents. You're doing great now. And it's all your own doing. The head nurse was afraid that my parents would pester me, afraid that my poor parents would turn to me for money. After all, they had just said they had given all their money to Zhu Wan. I had only taken 2 steps when my hand was suddenly held. Zhu Wan grabbed my hand. Her face twisted as she leaned close to me. Zhu Qiao, don't you resent them? 13 resentment? When I first got my period in adolescence and no one taught me, I resented them then. When I was followed by a pervert and ran home, only to find the house had been sold, I resented them then too. When I was sick and had an 4 drip in the hospital alone, and no one signed for my surgery, I felt unwilling. But now, I didn't have long to live. Not wanting to see my parents again was the biggest way I could let go. This is your business. Don't drag me into it. I tried to pull my hand away, but Zhu Wan held it tightly. The head nurse helped me pry Zhu Wan's hand open, saying impatiently, Zhao Qiao is not well. Can you stop tormenting her? Aren't you her older sister? Can't you see she has no strength at all? She's not well. She's not well. But am I doing well? Zhu Wan's breakdown emotions flooded out. It seemed that with me here, her competitive streak was triggered. She wouldn't let go of me. Her eyes red, shaking me hard. Zhu Qiao, at least you had grandma to cook eggs for you. You didn't have to get up at 4 every day to practice dancing or do commercial performances in winter. At least you could choose a university you liked. At least you wouldn't be beaten by your husband until you had a miscarriage. When I had a miscarriage and ran home to find our parents, do you know they called Oscar right away? They only cared about their investment. They didn't care that I was bleeding. How can you not resent them? Why don't you resent them? You should hate them like I do. For being unqualified parents, for being so heartless and unfeeling. Let go of me, I said coldly. Zhu Wan just kept crying, pulling me and shaking me, asking questions, as if she wanted to get an answer from me. My parents finally rushed out of the room, wanting Zhu Wan to shut up and stop making a fool of herself. While they were arguing, Shen Shengwen rescued me. He appeared like a god, pushing away all the restraints and entanglements on me. Zhu Qiao, when you were sick, although Shen Shengwen was taking care of me, we really had nothing going on. I was really desperate then. Why can't you understand me? I've been taking care of our parents for so many years. Can't you take care of them for a while? Zhu Wan cried, looking delicate and pitiful. I saw several men subconsciously looking in her direction, but Shen Shengwen pulled me and walked towards his office. My parents suddenly caught up. Shengwen, is Zhu Qiao's condition really that bad? Then help us go through the procedures. Let us come back to take care of her. Shen Shengwen didn't stop walking. Until we reached the office, he let me go in alone. I didn't know what he said to my parents, only that he came back to find me alone. I saw a slap mark on his face, but I didn't ask. After the examination, Shen Shengwen breathed a sigh of relief. The baby is developing well, and the cancer cells haven't spread. Then let's go through the divorce procedures tomorrow. I looked at Shen Shengwen and asked. He was stunned for a long time, then spoke in a hoarse voice. Really, can't you forgive me? I found that when a person knew their time was limited, they would really become more open and relieved. There's nothing to forgive. I loved you before, but now I really don't anymore. Now, I want to raise this baby with Zhao Qiao. You're still young, and you don't have a child to hold you back. You can remarry. With Shen Shengwen's conditions, a godlike man, with a car and a house, and a high-paying job. I guess that the day after we divorced, my mother-in-law would arrange a blind date for him. Shen Shengwen held my hand, lowered his head, and suddenly rested his head on my stomach. His low voice was like a murmur. Really, do we have to get divorced? I felt the wetness of tears soaking through my skirt. I stroked Shen Shengwen's head, the corner of my mouth lifting slightly. Maybe he had fallen in love with me. He had made a bet that he could make me change my mind in 2 months, and he lost. But late affection was cheaper than grass. Now, I wouldn't even give him the qualification to take care of me. Let's get divorced. It's already late-stage cancer. I don't have much time left. I want to live according to my own wishes before I go, okay? After a long time, Shen Shengwen said okay. My wife divorced me. I never thought she would have the courage to really divorce me. Her name was Zhu Qiao, and she looked a lot like my first love, the goddess. Later, I found out they were really sisters. One was a dancer, high above the clouds, and the other was a timid little rabbit. I saw Zhu Qiao with no place to go, and the soft part of my heart moved. A thought flashed through my mind. If I was with her, I would feel comfortable. So I married her. I didn't mind that her parents didn't attend the wedding at all. And I didn't mind that she wasn't highly educated and had nothing in common with me. I just wanted to see the goddess through her. Later, the goddess came back to China, and I took care of her personally. I knew in my heart that this was unfair to Zhu Qiao, but I thought she was so obedient. She should be able to tolerate everything about me. When I found out Zhu Qiao had cancer, and that she was determined to get divorced, I finally realized that when I decided to marry her, I had been attracted to Zhu Qiao without knowing it. She said she wanted to live a more carefree life in her final days. I suddenly understood that I didn't even have the qualification to keep her. After the divorce, when I looked at the kitchen, I would think of her. When I saw a shirt, I would think of her. When I saw others laughing, I would think of her too. When the goddess Zhu Wan sent me a selfie, I was surprised to find that Zhu Qiao and Zhu Wan didn't look alike at all. I had just been deceiving myself. I didn't need to see anything. She was always on my mind. I thought I had actually fallen in love with Zhu Qiao, who was as warm water, a long time ago. I wanted to make up for the deep love I had missed. I started checking Zhu Qiao's reports every day, taking them to find my teacher, to find experts from foreign specialist hospitals. But it was too late. Except for asking me to treat her, Zhu Qiao didn't want anything from me. I watched her belly grow bigger and start to have internal bleeding. My heart ached like it was being cut. Watching her lose her appetite, I knelt by the bed with porridge, begging her to drink a mouthful, but she just shook her head indifferently. Watching her have a heavy bleeding while giving birth, and then be on the verge of death after coming out, I cried. I finally understood how cruel it was that when Zhu Qiao loved me, I didn't even spare her an extra glance. Because now, every day I felt like there was a fishbone stuck in my throat, and I loved her but couldn't have her. I thought, this must be the retribution God gave me. My best friend Xiaoqiu was the person I owed the most in my life. She had taken care of me without complaint for 3 years, but I still broke my promise and couldn't accompany her until her teeth fell out. Zhu Qiao, died in the autumn when I was 31. The leaves were yellow, and the sunset was too. My son was 3 years old, and he could call me Mum. I hoped he would be happy every day in the future. My name is Zhang Tianel. I'm 7 years old, and I'm going to primary school in September. My birth mother is Zhu Qiao, and my godmother is Zhang Chaoqiu. I live with my godmother. I asked my godmother why my surname was the same as hers, not my parents. My godmother said that the Zhu family was unlucky, and the Shen family didn't deserve it. I was lucky, so I could take her surname Zhang. Some children in the kindergarten mocked me for not having parents, but that's not true. My dad is a big doctor. Every time he wants to pick me up to play, I hear him begging my godmother on the phone. My godmother has a bad temper, and she will shout at my dad. But she's very good to me. She's a nice person. I guess my dad must have done something bad before. That's why my godmother doesn't like him. Every year, my dad takes me to visit my mom. I point at the photo and ask my dad, "Is Mum sleeping in there?" My dad will touch my head and say yes. "Will Mum see me?" My dad says yes. I take out the little red flower stickers I saved up in kindergarten and stick them around Mum's photo. "Dad, will Mum be happy to see my little red flowers? Because I'm good, right?" Dad's eyes suddenly turned red. He squatted down and hugged me, saying, "Your mum was a very good person. She wouldn't love you based on whether you were good or not. Her love for you was unconditional. So is mine."